Hello, I'm Dean Svoboda, founder and executive director for the Autism Asperger's Friendship Society of Calgary. We are in Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada, and we love what we do, and we do a lot of very cool things. And I'm excited to share those with you today, and also to share with you ways you can get going some of these very unique and valuable programs. So I'll start with introducing myself and a little bit about me and how I came to be where I am and do what I do. So I remember many years ago when I was a young guy, a lesson that stuck with me my entire life and frames a lot of my philosophy on how I do things in the field is we moved houses across the city, and I was forced to start a new school in grade 2. The first day of school, my mom sat me and my brother down and explained to us that we'll be the new kid. Things will be tough for us as we get involved in the social world, and very much stressed for us to remember what it feels like to be the new kid and carry that with us when other new kids come and to the school and when there's somebody on the outside and how they maybe feel. And it's a very early lesson on understanding that not everybody is going to be a part of that core group, and that there's lots we can do to bring them into the main group to be accepted. My first entrance to the field of autism was in a grade 7 classroom as an educational assistant, and I hadn't met the 2 boys I was assigned to work with at the very start of the school year. I went into the classroom to meet the teacher. Her first conversation, she gave me 2 coloring books and said, "These will keep your 2 guys busy while they're in my class." This was a grade 7 classroom. I was fairly sure that the parents and the families did not send those boys to grade 7 to color and to be kept busy. I was also told shortly after that the mothers of the 2 boys were problem parents and I should be careful. I then found out that problem parents meant that these were 2 mothers who wanted the best for their young guys and wanted to be sure they were accepted and had value out of their school day. That threw me, after meeting these 2 boys who are pictured, 2 of the guys in the picture on your screen. Can you see my cursor? So this is Jared and this is Sean. Those are the first 2 boys with autism I met back in 1996. And once meeting these 2 guys and their mothers, I was very much enthralled with autism and started to grab and do everything I could to learn everything I could about autism and about anybody I knew with autism. I had taken jobs at Society for Treatment of Autism in Calgary in their residential program. I'd taken a consulting subbing job with the Calgary Separate School Board. I'd taken a part-time job as a substitute with Janus Academy, which is a school strictly for kids with autism. I'd also helped a startup called at the time Class Act, which was for autism consulting and treatment based in ABA in-home therapy with in early intervention, and basically read and did everything I could. My days were basically from about 6 o'clock in the morning when I'd show up to the residential treatment program, and I'd typically get home about between 9 and 10 at night after working through the school system and then providing private respite for a group of families. Through my private respite, I connected with some of the families very closely, 2 of those being Sean and Jared, and then also Anton here, who I believe is on the chat watching the webinar. And basically we were talking about how great things were going, giving these guys some individual attention and getting them involved in the social world, and decided that we would like to get some kids together one night to play some games, and with no pressure, no outside interference, no clipboards, and just some kids playing games and see what happens. That was our first introduction into what would become the Autism Asperger's Friendship Society. So we were founded in 2004 officially, and basically looked at that time a gap in service for just strictly recreation and social time that wasn't a part of the therapy world. What I saw was the kids that I knew getting a lot of therapy, really good therapy, without anywhere to really practice that in a natural environment. So our goals over the years became to create those natural environments for all of our youth to work on themselves, work on their social world, meet kids like them, find a place of acceptance, find a place of empowerment. And so many years later, here we are with over closing in on 1,000 families, and really excited about what we're doing. I have our mission stuff up on the screen. I won't read them for you because I know when I go to presentations, I likely don't like the speaker reading out the slides to me. So there's our missions and everything, and we are very excited to do the things we do. So we'll get into what we do now. But before we do that, we'll talk about the research, because everybody wants research. And we've come to this conclusion that Playing with friends and physical activity is good for kids. There are a number of amazing research papers out there through every university, everybody that is in that world of trying to prove this and how it works and how it plays. But for us, everything we do is basically play. And for us, some of the getting all the individuals involved in play with friends is the key piece. So we see a lot of kids that play individually, but we like to make sure we can get kids playing as a group. In activity, whatever is physical, mental, activity is good for kids. One of my favorite quotes I love is from Ken Robinson. Play is a primary, indeed a primal, way that we learn to understand and experience the world around us. This has never been more apparent to me than recently, as I have a 3-year-old son, and watching what he learns through play, seeing him come home from his daycare and the things he's able to learn through playing with those kids. So I think this really sets back to my entrance into the autism sector, where play was really robbed from a lot of the kids I saw. You can't play when you're in therapy. You have to play when you're playing. And so for us, play is key behind everything we do. And that's where we've come from and where we're continuing to head, and just to find more and more creative ways to play. So AAFS programs. So one of our simple starting points for programs were just community outings and clubhouse nights. So these are the typical recreation activities that are available in most cities and across North America. Swimming pools, bowling alleys, finding whatever we can to do, listening to our youth and members expressing what they want to do. You can see a picture in the bottom left-hand corner there of a bunch of guys at the Saddle Dome in Calgary. That's for a Flames game. 2 guys here on a high up point at the gym we do parkour at. And here's a group of guys rafting down the local river here in Calgary. The key thing with community outings and clubhouse nights is these are one-off events, so families and youth can sign up for them when they feel like coming. It's not a long commitment. It's not a 6-month commitment, 3-month commitment. You can come to the one Thursday when we're doing a Star Wars Lego night, and only that Thursday, not for a long time. So these are very much not drop-in. We need registration, but they are able to do them and not without a large commitment of time going forward. Specialized care programs. These are programs where we just look at filling gaps in service. So should mention that everything we do is based on our family expression of what is needed in our youth. So these specialized care programs were all kind of started on an expression either from a need from a family or a need from a community. So AAFS Fridays is one that started with a partner of ours, New Heights School in Calgary. They had noon dismissal on Fridays, so we started to provide social activities and social opportunities for their students on Friday afternoons. That's now snowballed over the last number of years into a number of youth, whether they're homeschooled, a part of a different school that dismisses at noon, and those are just simply social outings on Friday afternoons. After school, we found out there's a large gap in after school care for a lot of our families. So again, we started to provide that at our clubhouse, getting the youth engaged in what they want to be engaged in, and doing everything we can. Go Group in Alberta, there's a very large gap in funding for adults on the autism spectrum due to their high IQ. So we're seeing a lot of adults out there in families that have a young person, 18 years old, loses basically every cent of funding they've had for support, whether it be respite care, community aid support, employment prep. They're not qualifying for funding, but they still need support. So our Go Group is one of our programs that we have focused strictly for folks who do not qualify for funding. So the qualification for that program is you had to have gone through the process of applying for government funding and been turned down, and we can fund you through to our Go Group, which is becoming a very large, expanded program because it's such a large need. And then Fellowship of the AAFS is another one, which started more because a lot of our activities were based in sort of Saturday, Sunday during the day. We had a number of folks over the age of 16 that wanted to get involved in the community when teenagers want to be out Friday night, Saturday night, like any other adult. And all of these are community immersion activities where we're taking our youth to pubs, to the movie theater on Friday night, getting them involved in the community. And we've seen a number of friendships grow within that group and also grow with community partners and community people just from the community they meet that night. Some other specialized care programs, pardon me, the LAFS, which is our Little Autism Asperger's Friendship Society, ages 4 to 9. Girls Club is just for girls. We know how that feels in the spectrum. A lot of us are very well aware of the diagnosis bias or the heavy, ratio of boys to girls on the spectrum. So we do have some programs strictly for girls to come out and meet other girls just like them. AAFS Rural in Calgary, we have a lot of major centers in North America. We have a number of outlying communities around the city which don't have a lot of support. And so over the last year, we've really had a focus on getting supports out to those rural centers. It has been going wonderful. Some amazing people everywhere in the world, but we found those rural centers some great families who are really happy we're there and are helping us get things going in those centers. So now the specialized programs, which for us has been a very large growth segment of our organization the past 5 years. Originally, they started as a program to 12 weeks, let's do something, let's get an interest area, let's find a coach, and let's get some kids. That's really how simple it was. So basically what you need to know about specialized programs, they can be as short as 5 weeks. We have a program we call with ATCO in Calgary. It's an oil and gas company. It's called ATCO Blue Flame Chefs Anonymous. So they have a kitchen where they do community cooking events for their staff. We bring our youth into the program, into their kitchen, and they learn for 4 weeks, learn cooking straight from a Red Seal chef. And end of the week, they serve all their parents and community partners some amazing food. And that's only 5 weeks long. We have programs that also run 24. One of our programs we'll talk about later runs basically all year long in different segments. The main thing with anything is that there's a learning progression, and there's a topic base. So we'll go through some of our topics that we've centered on over the years in a few moments, but those are two key things, the learning progression and topic based. Very important to know is unlimited number of topics and interests available. When our organization was smaller and we had a very small base of what we knew, I would never have thought to start a Dungeons and Dragons program. And now today, that's one of our most popular oversubscribed programs, which we've ran in members' houses, we've ran at community cafes, we've ran at our office. And those things, all those ideas and all those topics come from our members and our families. There's amazing awareness and acceptance raising through the community partnerships. So Breathe Parkour is a partner in Calgary that we do our parkour program with. When we first went to them and they came to us and we talked about what this would look like as a parkour program for folks with autism, there's a lot of hesitation on their side, especially their staff would be working with our youth. 2 weeks into the program, their staff were fighting with each other to get onto our program because they loved our youth so much. They've changed some of the model of how they support various disabilities in the community because of working with us. So that awareness and acceptance raising has really been incredible. And for us, it's also incredible to see one of our members come into the program, take part in our 8-10 week program, and then 6 months later, we're at the gym with our program, and that young person is just at Breathe Parkour on their own with their support worker in Breathe Parkour's programs, in their public programs, and we've built that bridge for them to get involved. And this is important for everybody who works in that nonprofit world, is funders love specialized programs. They love that we can go to them and say, here's a 12-week program, this is what the youth are going to learn, these are the skills they're going to develop, this is going to be the outcome. It starts on September 1st, ends on November 30th. Very simple for funders to see. We're not creating a big confusing grant ask for them with a ton of little things. It's like, hey, kids are going to come every week. They're going to jump and run and play. At the end of it, they're going to have more friends. They're going to be more confident, and they're going to have an experience they otherwise would never have gotten. And when funders believe it's due to them, they want to get behind it. So a number of our specialized programs do have consistent funding from outside of the care and autism sector from folks who just want to give people with autism cool experiences. Here's an example of some of the programs that we are running right now and run at different times of the year. I'll run through these just so you can get a clear picture of the broad interest and some of the extremes we can go to. And then I'll touch on a few others that we have running right now and some of the ones that are in the cooker to come out soon. So I talked about Chefs Anonymous. We get top level chefs to teach a group of youth how to cook. And that's over a number of weeks. This one we're staging into also a sort of cook for yourself at home program for some of our adults who will live with some support on their own, and want to be able to cook their own meals. So we're going to stay in a lot of the specialized programs you'll see have a starting point, and we're able to stage them to different sectors and levels for different populations. Parkour, that's one of our, I think we're into the 6th or 7th year now of parkour with our gym in Calgary called Breathe Parkour. And basically parkour is running, flipping, jumping, rolling, really learning to be in your body, really learning to be a part of, learn that safe risk taking. Very cool program. You design it. We do this with the Calgary Game Developers for Youth here in Calgary. It's a young guy who was working in the video game industry, wanted to find a way to give some of those skills back and teach those valuable coding and programming skills to youth. We've started a program with them. It's gone amazingly. We actually have an open house next Friday to look at what we can do for further expansion of the program. Stepping Out Exercise Program. This was started by a very, very famous Canadian hockey player, Hayley Wickenheiser, as part of her master's degree at university. Her main goal at the start was to bring a group of youth with autism and treat them like athletes, not like folks with autism. And that resonated so closely with us. So when she finished her schooling and we wanted to find a way to keep the program going, we jumped at the opportunity to run it. We've expanded it from strictly a adult program at the University of Calgary into also a youth program. And we're speaking with the Mount Royal University in Calgary on expanding it even further. It's really an amazing program, runs around the semester with the university semesters, and we access a large number of kinesiology and university practicum students to help facilitate that program. Over the last couple of years, we've ran both a parasport sampler and a sports sampler in multiple times. So these are taking sports and giving our youth just a quick introduction. And out of these programs, a couple others have started. So as part of one of our early sports samplers, we had a rugby week, 1 week of rugby. We also had 1 week of lacrosse. We now have kicked off our rugby program as of a couple weeks ago, which you'll learn more about in a few slides, and also have started a lacrosse program based on the interest level we saw from those programs. Those programs are amazing because of the number of community partners we were able to engage. So for the sports sampler, lacrosse, we had the Calgary Roughnecks and Elevate Lacrosse, 2 groups in Calgary involved. For the, we had the Calgary Cricket Club involved for a week of cricket. For the parasport sampler, we went through wheelchair basketball, wheelchair volleyball, and our youth got a chance to see what folks with mobility issues may go through and some of the sports they play. And again, the community partners were so key in that. Journalism MAGAF scene. There's going to be a link at the end where you can go in a few slides to go and check out the MAGAF scene. It's an online publication that is built entirely through our journalism program. There's comic strips by youth, there's photography, creative writing. I know one compares Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Really amazing program. We do that one with Mount Royal University. Again, access to practicum students, access to space. The Mount Universities have been an amazing resource, an amazing partner for a lot of our programs. Game on Golf, well known to some of this group. AAFS for Autism, who we all know and love, have designed a great program. When we were looking at doing golf programs, well, why reinvent the wheel? We've got some of our staff trained up. Now they're training other staff. We ran the program officially one run last spring. We've ran 1-day sessions of Game on Golf. I just realized you can't see my hands. I'm doing a lot with my hands below the monitor. One Game on Golf program over 8 weeks. We've also ran Game On clinics 1 day at the tournament, and we're looking to expand that brand for ourselves and for AAFS for Autism to running possibly that program in schools for kids. I've talked to other charity tournaments that are happening next year around the Calgary area about having Game On Golf as a part of their event. And again, it's a very simple program, interest-based golf, learning progression each week. Amazing. Earn a Bike. This is a program with one of our longtime partners called Two Wheel View here in Calgary. Their mantra is they use the bike as a tool to build resiliency in youth. The program of theirs we run for our group is Earn a Bike. And this is very simply, youth come every week for 10 weeks. They learn about bikes. They learn how to fix a chain. They learn how the wheels work. They learn how to put air in their tire. They learn how to tighten the handlebars, how to move the seat up and down. Some of our youth, as we all know, are incredibly technically skilled, have now become looked at bike mechanicry as a possible avenue for work in the future. But the coolest thing about this program is the families come, the youth, for 10 weeks. At the end of the program, they get their own bike. So the start of the program, they fill out a questionnaire about what kind of bike they would like, what kind of, their dream bike, what are some things they really like to get. Two-wheel view on there, and goes out and sources out bikes for every youth in the program. And our next stage of this program will be earn an adapted bike. We've done a couple adapted bikes within programs over the years, but never a strictly adapted bike program. So that is the next stage. Superheroes Hockey is one of our newest programs this year, and that's with a group that's here in Canada called Heroes Hockey, where they basically give the opportunity to folks who have never had the opportunity to play hockey. And what the Superheroes program is it's a combination of 10 youth with autism, 10 youth with Down syndrome, who would never have the opportunity to play, and now they get to play every Sunday morning. It's 24 weeks long. Through the Heroes program, they got a behind-the-scenes tour of the Calgary Saddledome, the massive stadium here in Calgary for our Calgary Flames. They get to, again, that sense of belonging. Hey, I'm playing hockey. I know one of our guys was very excited because now every Monday when he gets to school and some of the kids are talking about their hockey games on the weekend, he can say, I was playing hockey yesterday too. And that's a huge piece for us, is giving our youth value to share with their communities. This is a very small snippet. Typically, we have about 4 to 6 specialized programs running per semester. Our semesters operate on various dates, but you can see a full list of programs at our website. Recently, we've had a boxing program. We've done a number of mixed martial arts programs, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We have a lacrosse program starting right away. We're going to speak about our rugby program momentarily. So we have an endless amount of programs that we've ran and can run. Most of the problem for us is finding the time and our staff to be able to help facilitate and support the program. There's no shortage of anything else. So outcomes. So the 3 top outcomes that we hear from we do a pre-program survey and a post-program survey, both with the families, staff, and our community partner. And we trying to find out our best of, we know what we're trying to do. We know play is good for kids. We want to find out exactly why as much as we can. So we're always looking at new measurements for outcomes in these programs. The top 3 to this point are, I believe I can be more independent in other parts of my life. I am more willing to try new things, and I made some new friends. Of course, all these surveys are filled out by the youth as independently as possible. You'll hear that language and can almost put that in your head. Everything we do, we talk in a broad spectrum, but everything is based on individual outcomes for youth as far as the topic goes. So if we're looking at the Jiu-Jitsu program, for one of our members, it may have been a success to be on the floor rolling and learning how to do arm bars and chokes. For another youth in the program, after 8 weeks, getting them in a position of touching somebody else was the same successive celebration of success. So very individualizing the final outcome. And of course, the main base behind everything is to have those kids meet a friend that they have similar interests before, similar values, somebody to hang out with outside of that program. The outcomes for us are these programs become a safe access point for youth who sometimes are resistant in getting involved in community support. I'll talk about a young guy that now works for us, one of our top employees, Liam, right away. But there's a number of folks who see the word autism, scared to get involved. Once they're involved in it and they see, oh, I can make movies, yeah, I'll go try that. So it's a very safe access point for a lot of our members. They're also a safe space for you to explore values and common interests. So I always talk about dance and the idea of 2 youth are interested in dance. Sometimes they're told they should be friends. But if my value for dance is to get out on the floor and spin on my head and jump up and down, and Johnny's value in dance is to sit back and watch dancing, classical ballroom dancing, even though dance is an interest of ours, because that value behind that interest is not the same or does not match, we may not be able to actually connect there as friends. So specialized programs have that continued learning progression where they can explore those interests, explore the values behind their interests, and get to know their peers without that fear of the therapeutic environment of getting an X, losing their reward, whatever that may be. It's just a safe space to play. Our specialized programs provide a consistent environment for goal setting and learning progression. So within that closed environment of 8, 10, 12, 16, 20 weeks, yes, we're going to have goals based in the rugby side of it, but there's also going to be goals based in the social side of it, on the recreation side of it. So those are very important, and this is an environment we can really narrow in and make very specific goals and targets. Provides an opportunity to cultivate some of those special interests we know all of our kids have. So rather than mom knowing that Johnny wants to learn video gaming, searching out to the community, finding an aide to attend a program, all those things our families go through, you sign up for our program. And then once they do our program, every youth and family has a different comfort level getting involved in the public program. Some will, some won't. And for us, we recognize that we want to give that opportunity for that youth to find their space. So if somebody is going to be and they want to go into video game design and game design and coding as a career, they have that opportunity to learn it in a safe environment with their friends and then make that decision. For us, also a huge outcome has been brand recognition. We built so many relationships with folks outside of the autism bubble because we go to them and ask for experts. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, recreate the wheel for ourselves. So we talk about the Game On program. We've done some one-off golf stuff over the years. When we found that Game On, we were like, perfect, we can just do that. We don't have to go and search out golf pros around the city every spring. We don't have to go and find golf courses that will allow us to have access to their space. We just use the Game On and the Els brand, and that pumps up our brand, and we get the program going. And that other side of that is we've had a number of folks that were volunteering through a group, say Breathe Parkour, who are now volunteers for AAFS. They're now advocates for autism. They're now the ones when we go to a new martial arts gym, we're going to have them talk to the parkour gym. They're going to be able to say, I'm nervous about this with these guys with autism, and the parkour gym can relieve their pressures. So we've not only gotten partnerships and volunteers, we've got advocates now for us and for our families. So we're going to talk about one of our I think it's our oldest, longest running specialized program, and that's the AAFS Movie Project. Simply started when we had a 12-year-old, a young guy that in our group come to us and say, I want to make movies. We said, okay. We went in a path. We found a local film person who had worked in the disability field and said, hey, do you want to come and help write a program for us? He said, yes. We were the experts with the members we had. He was the expert with movie making. And we started very simply. Let's get one group write a script. Let's get one group learn how the camera works. Let's get one group who wants to act and put them together. And our result was, I don't know if the graphics are coming up. Where's the graphic? Oh, it didn't come up. There's a movie, you can see down here on the bottom of the screen. This is a trailer for our movie project program that was put together. And this is our YouTube page, which we encourage everybody to subscribe to. The videos are incredible. The content is amazing. So now where we are 10 years of Movie Project, we've now rebranded all of Movie Project into AMPed, and it's AAFS Multimedia Education and Development. And we have 5 feeder programs that are now running. Mini Movie Project, which is a shorter framed thing where more folks are making quick short skits. Acting and improv for those folks who just want to be in front of the camera. Post-production focuses on editing, special effects, and all of those areas. And these movies will not be PG. It's for a group of guys who want to make horror films and want to make films for guys their age. We're also staging this into a production company. So some of the folks that have been in our program for a number of years and learned amazing skills and are really good at what they do, they're now being hired by community partners of ours to make videos. And now we're leveraging their skills, getting them paid work, and again, growing everything. Now, the next stage, which we were hoping to have going by this fall, is a little behind, but we want to send some of those guys I'll talk about Liam and Uriah in a minute, into schools to teach kids how to make movies and how to make films. And this is important for me the stipulation is not to teach kids with autism how to make movies. Yes, that may be a part of it. They're just going to go teach kids how to make movies in schools. The other very cool side of this is a number of our youth have won awards in Calgary for their work in the industry. They're doing some incredible things, and without the starting point of a safe spot for them to learn and develop those skills, I'm not sure where they would have gone with that. I'm going to try and share the trailer if it's here. I know there are some no, not there. Okay, we're going to get some links at the end. Very much encourage everybody to watch them. If you're on a browser right now, we'll just watch them after. They're amazing. And you'll be really you'll be blown away by the work that they're doing with some of the movies they're making. Shark Cop is one of our big features right now, the franchises, I guess. The next stage, our next franchise, we're hoping is going to be based around a young guy's idea about an autistic superhero and his basis that autism is actually a step in the next evolution of humanity. So we're working on some of those stories, and this is again from one of our young people. So again, I can't stress enough, all of our ideas come from our young people. They know what they want to do, they know what they want to try, and for us, we're just that vehicle to try and find that opportunity for them. Another program I would like to talk about, which has become a very neat thing, is our journalism, which results in our MagAFS, which is an online publication with the most creative, incredible content you can ever imagine. I read every edition. There were some cover photos on this, shots of the covers on here. You can see the link for the magazine here. I very much encourage you to subscribe and go on there. Even though if you read it and you don't really understand some of the content, get it into the hands of your people, on your spectrum, your self-advocates. They will understand this content. It's incredible. One of the guys said, I didn't understand an article, and he said, it's just too creative for you, Dean. So I said, I understood. So I encourage you to check that out. And again, partnership with Mount Royal, very simple. We put out, hey, if you've got some ideas, if you're creative, if you like to draw, if you want a space to share your views, share your opinions, come to journalism every week. At the end of journalism program, there's the MagAFS where your work goes. It's online, and it gets read we have subscribers from around the world as far away as Mexico, and it's very incredible. This is another one we're looking to stage into some sort of social enterprise and paid work for our individuals. So looking that if Else for Autism wants to create an online newsletter that's a little more glossy and attractive, sometimes very colorful and pictures and photos and graphics, call our journalism program, get them to do their online magazine for you. All you do is send the content. They'll put together the magazine online, get the links out there, get you your link, get your subscribers, and that's still a stage that's working. We're going to have them do some internal newsletters and magazines monthly for us in the new year. We're going to have our annual report done by the journalism program in the new year. And yeah, again, just a spot for them to create and share with everything they have inside them. Very cool program that anybody can do. So how do you do some of these programs? Sorry, I'm going to stop for a drink of water. Maybe go watch one of those videos for a second. Very simple. And I want to stress to everybody, it's simple at the high level. We know all of our youth are complex. We know all of our members can come with their different things. And for us, we're the experts, say that always with quotations, because I still think nobody around autism is even close to being an expert. But we know our youth really well. And our rugby coaches and rugby captains, they know rugby really well. They just want to teach the game they love to people. Doesn't matter who they're teaching to, they just want to teach it. So identify an interest area. We suggest asking the youth, asking the people you work with, what is something you've always wanted to do? What is something that you've always thought about? We had, years ago, I want to eat he wants to eat the art that he made. And he was painting nice things. So we said, you can't eat that. So he said, well, what if I made an art piece that I could eat? So we had an edible art program. It was incredible. We will do it again soon. Find potential community partners. So when we have a young guy come to us, and here I'm going to go through some of these, find the community partners. There's so many local organizations out there. If they're a local sports or arts organization, they're likely looking for more engagement in the community. Somebody started an art program in your city because they love art and they want to share their art and they want to share how to do their art with the community. All of our folks with autism are part of that community and deserve to learn that skill. There's experts out there, just find them, and get them involved. Work with that community partner on the education, on the program design, and the education of your youth in the room. So for us, we'll go in and we'll give an overarching view of autism, talk a little bit about the sensory processing, we'll talk about context, we'll talk about some communication pieces. Then we'll individualize that to the youth coming to the program so that our partner knows, okay, people with statements we want to stop are people with autism don't like to be touched. No, Johnny doesn't want to be touched because you don't know him. Once you know Johnny, he'll happily give you a big bear hug. So you really educate the ASD piece but mostly about the individuals coming to the program. We're huge on that it's all about the individual. It's not about the autism. The autism is just something that's in their file somewhere. There are things that can help with that, but it's mostly about that individual. And the journey. So recognize that this is different, whatever the program, this is not as more of a stress community partner, that everybody coming to this rugby program is going to have a different outcome after the 8 to 12 weeks. Some folks are maybe going to decide, I want to go try out for my high school rugby team. Others may feel, I'm going to be happy tossing that rugby ball in the backyard with my dad. And that's going to make dad actually incredibly happy when some of those moments happen. But again, remember that the journey, it's all about the journey, not the destination. We want to really give our youth the experience. We want them to have a positive experience so that for us, when you go back to those outcomes, our youth wanting to try new things is incredible, because we know that a number of our youth are hesitant to those new things. For us, a lot of times it comes down because of the social piece of that new thing. So the more we can take that social anxiety away from them, the more likely they are to get involved in their school programs and their community programs. So always remember, every youth in the room likely has a different outcome in mind and a different success point. So very recent, rugby. So go very, very quick time on how this got going. Obviously a lot more behind the scenes work happens, but very simple. Early spring 2019, a couple of AAFS youth expressed an interest to rugby, about rugby as their sports sampler program. Summer 2018, one of our program coordinators the last 3 or 4 years has really been hugely responsible for a number of our great sports programs. Makes a connection to Rugby Canada and an All Saints rugby program here in Calgary. And they talk about program content, finding each player a coaching partner, playing partner, practicing partner through rugby programs in the city. Fall 2019, we sent a couple of our staff to the All Saints rugby program, which is a high school program here in Calgary, to talk about AAFS and what we do and who we are, and a little bit about autism and what they might want to face. Even after that presentation, my niece happened to go to that school. I didn't even know this until she sent me a text after the presentation. She was incredibly nervous going to this meeting about volunteering with a group with autism. By the end of that meeting and presentation from our staff, she texted me saying how excited she was to be a part of it. And that's one thing we can never stress enough, is our members and our youth are amazing. And once people meet them and work with them, they want to be involved forever. And then just 2 weeks ago, our rugby program kicked off. And it's been amazing. So you can see some of our guys here catching the ball. There's a group game at the end of it. And the pictures are hard to tell, but again, you may be able to see folks in the room taking part of their own kind of engagement. Maybe for some of them running up and down the field with other kids, that's the outcome. Maybe for some of them, learning to catch that ball and pitch that ball, that's an outcome. For a few others, their goal may be to get on that high school rugby team that they've always been cut from. Again, everybody in there is going to have their different outcome, their different goal, their different target. So that's what we want to stress. And here's a good group picture back in the summer when there's no snow on the ground out here, of us getting together, some of the guys from Rugby Canada. One of the main agency outcomes I talked about was brand recognition and partnerships, new partnerships. So this video link here is from CTV News Ottawa. We're based in Calgary. This is a CTV News Ottawa story about a member of the Canadian rugby team connecting with one of our members at a rugby game in Canada. So for us, seeing one of our members on the news in Ottawa, for anybody who's not sure the geography out there, Calgary is very much a western city, and Alberta, western city in Canada. Ottawa is the capital of Canada, way off in Ontario, so not different than Los Angeles versus New York. So it's very cool for us, of what we see ourselves as a small grassroots program, to have coverage on a news station in Ottawa. So, and that's all out of this very simple partnership of trying to get a rugby program going. Now, there's a few ways. We do have some programs we have our staff run. So we have a staff who's a rock climber, ran a rock climbing program this past year. That does work, but for us, we find going out to the community being an incredibly important piece of this. What's that? I don't know what happened. Am I still going? My screen went funny. There. Why going out to the community is so important for us. Oh. Positive ADHD awareness. like I said earlier, our members and our youth are the best. They're the most engaged, loyal, loving people out there. So once our community partners meet them, they change their mind a lot of times on what their view of autism is. They realize it's an individual thing. They realize that there's just a way, sometimes with every individual, there's a way of communicating in a way that you allow them to be their best self. And like I talked about Breathe Parkour, when we first started, they had trouble collecting staff for our program. Now when our program gets posted, their staff are fighting with each other to get on it because our kids are so amazing. And raising that positive awareness of ASD is so important nowadays. And I think raising that that diversity piece, where that one person with autism is one person with autism, that piece really gets raised only through interactions. And so for us going out to all these different centers, all these different community partners who may have never had an introduction to autism, it really has pushed that envelope of what autism is and pushed the way they think about autism. Community involvement after program completion. So this is where, for us, if we're going to host a program in that parkour gym, our goal is then for all those members to go back to that parkour gym as independently as they are able without our support. That's everything we do. We want our members out there doing it as independently as possible. So when we're going up to these partners and running those programs, that's already creates that place as being a safe place for them. The community partner knows them and can help them out when they see them there. So that's that community piece where we don't want to run these isolated programs for our members for always. We want them to come to us, meet us, engage in something, then ideally get involved in the community. So this really opens up some doors, which are seen as being safe for our members. We can affect policy change. So there's a list of places in Alberta that have changed their policy on how they manage disability attendance, how they manage the support workers, how they manage folks in their environment. We've had different places in the city open up nights where they're more sensory friendly. If they're a trampoline park with lights and loud music all the time, some of those now have nights where it is, hey, they don't call it autism friendly night, it's a sensory friendly night for anybody who has sensory issues. And so we've been able to change. Another place in the city who had a Disability Tuesday, where nothing changed at the center, but they just had a lower price for people with disabilities and they're allowed to bring their aids. Well, we started to work with them and we started to talk about, well, no, our youth want to come Saturday afternoon. That's when they want to come. They still need their support worker. And now so we've affected some of the child policy change. Also through training for their staff, they sought out more. So we've done some training for autism with different groups. They've come to me after and said, do you know anybody who has training on cerebral palsy or Down syndrome or other disabilities? And yeah, because yes, we do. We can connect them. So opening up that first door of education and empowerment has then had them see the light and say, well, is there more out there we can learn? Funding. Again, we all live in that world of nonprofit. Well, maybe not all of you, but we live in that world of nonprofit where finding money for a program can be difficult. Without any jinxing, finding money for a lot of these programs is relatively simple because there's professionals and companies out there who grew up playing rugby, so they want to support folks with autism playing rugby. There's parents and cousins and uncles of all of our kids who maybe played rugby who are happy to donate $250 if that's going to go towards somebody playing rugby. A grant application saying, here's the open, here's the close, here are the outcomes. Very effective to collect funding. And as we know, we're very important for us is that funding is behind everything we do, but we know that it's always going to be the underlying factor, and that directed ask for a specialized program is relatively simple in the world of asking for funding. The real experts. For us, like I said, we talked about, we know our youth. We know our youth really well. We know how to communicate with them. We know by individual how to communicate with them, how to get the best out of them, what some of their trigger points might be. How to react and how to respond to some of their behaviors. We know all that. Our partners at Breathe Parkour, they know parkour. They work with kids every day teaching parkour. So once we engage them and we bring that together, that's the beautiful match. And having the real experts and having those folks with parkour see that now this young guy with autism who didn't know what parkour was before he came in the gym is now YouTubing parkour videos and staying up late to watch American Ninja Warrior and asking when the drop-in times are so they can practice more. All of us have those special interests we have, And if you've had the opportunity to share your special interest with somebody younger, it's a very special moment. And we've seen some very cool relationships built out of that because people get to share their interest with our members. And when our members, we all know this, when our members love something, they love something like nobody else ever does. And having from, say, a parkour angle, seeing a young person love parkour as much or more than you do is a very amazing thing. A couple of pictures down here. Part of some horses and guys riding horses, part of our riding program. This is a gardening program from a couple summers ago. We had a family offer their backyard for a gardening program, and by the end of the summer, this was massive growth of sunflowers and some vegetables. And this is part of our urban dance program with a group in Calgary called Dubasoft Dance. Oh, last point I missed. Volunteers and advocates. It's a great place to get specialized volunteers engaged in. So we'll get emails from people who see something we're doing. Hey, can I come volunteer? We'll ask, what is your special interest? Well, I grew up playing lacrosse. Amazing. We have a lacrosse program next semester. Let's go get your training, your volunteer sector check, all those things. And also we talked about advocacy. So now when I've talked about Breathe Parkour a lot, I'll go to, so now when somebody, maybe a community member comes to them, walks in the gym and says, a mom is talking and said, I'd like to get my son involved, but he has autism. Now parkour saying, wonderful. We know lots of people with autism. Come on in. We have a program Monday nights. We have these people we work with. You know AAFS, you can do them. So we have advocates out there and across the city, across every interest sector, advocating for us and advocating for autism. So when somebody says autism, folks who previously may have been intimidated and not sure because they didn't know it, now they've completely turned around and we have advocates out there saying, I know this guy with autism, he's amazing. So those advocates are raising. And then volunteers, we get a number of volunteers who may see us at the rock climbing gym, ask one of our staff, what's this group, who are they, can I volunteer? Yes, we love volunteers. We love our volunteers. Pardon me. I'm going to talk a little about Liam. I mentioned him earlier. An incredible young guy. We've known him for a number of years now. So when he was 14 years old, he joined AAFS Movie Project. Before this entrance into AAFS, he was very hesitant to join programs for autistic kids. He loved movies. Biggest interest in life was movies. So it was the perfect entry point where he could see, I'm going to have to hang out with these kids that maybe I normally wouldn't be crazy about, but I'm going to learn how to make movies. At age 16, right away we saw some very important leadership in Liam. So we started volunteering on programs and providing mentorship for some of our younger members, specifically through Movie Project, but also through some other programs. Age 17, he joined our intentional mentorship program. That program is one where we identify youth between ages of 15 and 18 who have some leadership qualities, speak with them about getting involved volunteering. Would they like to be a staff member with us one day or work in the childcare field? And then we put them on a path where through volunteering, shadowing shadowing staff members of ours to see how it works being a staff member, what the differences are between coming out as a member and a participant and a volunteer, and then a staff level. And we stage that into employment. And everybody's growth path is again different. So when we sat with Liam with his initial mentorship, we talked about by about age 20, we would see him being as ready to be employed. Age 18, we hired him as a social experience guide. So he fast forwarded through the mentorship. I think he was one of those guys that once given that leadership and putting that into that mentorship role, he really excelled. So boom, he's a staff member at age 18, far going way past what we had expected and when we had expected him as a volunteer. Age 20, Liam now is a facilitator. It means he runs those programs for AAFS Movie Project and Script Writing 101. His interests have always been creative writing, incredibly creative guy, incredibly good writer, and now he's able to pass that on to youth. And the coolest thing for us when our folks like Liam, the graphics aren't there. There's a picture of Liam winning a staff award. We have our staff award, our organization awards every year called the AAFSs. Liam, last year won the AAFS Solution Award, which is the award for the member turned into a staff. And then this year he won the Acceptance Award for just being a person who accepts everybody as they are and doesn't have any outside judgments or outside things with people. So that's one story about Liam. We've got a million others. Anton, who I can see is watching, now works for the Calgary Flames as a cameraman. a technical assistant officially. That's the NHL team here in Calgary. We have others who have, like I talked about, won awards. One of our young guys, Ian, who I didn't speak about, but he's also very, very skilled, joined our movie project program when he was 8, is now employed by us at age 16 as our video assistant. So he manages finishing off all of our YouTube trailers, all of our videos, helps put together videos, promo videos for us when we're looking to, for a gala or for YouTube, anything like that. There will be a link of videos sent out here after, so you can very much encourage you to check those out, because those really tell our story better than I ever could. I guess that's it. So I didn't say at the start for questions. I don't see, but if you have any questions, please fire away right now. If you'd like to send me an email or get in touch after, more than happy to talk about any of the programs we run, possibly even help source out who in your area may be a match. One thing out of all of this, it's a pain for me sometimes to see charities and nonprofits who I know don't have a lot of money pay somebody a huge consulting fee to come and teach them. Years ago, way before, might have been before AAFS, we were looking to do a movie group, and we had a group from California who wanted $50,000 up front to come to Alberta for a week to teach movies. We ran that first program for $2,500 with a local filmmaker, and it's snowballed into this. So for me, I would really encourage everybody, look to your local sources. We don't have incredibly deep pockets. We don't have thousands and thousands of dollars sitting there. So for us, all of these programs have been so valuable and so incredible, and they've all been run on a very much shoestring budget. We're a very small organization. We barely have $1 million budget 15 years in. Yes, we have almost 1,000 families, but the reason we're able to run a lot of these things so leanly is because we rely on the experts. We go to the community for everything we can. We then empower ourselves inside. But I very much encourage everybody, go to your, identify interests, find a local expert, and get going. So I think that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. I look forward to speaking to people after about what we're doing and what you're looking to do. Like I said, for us, all these programs are incredible. This is likely, I would say, roughly 15%. This list that would be seen that I've shown you today is about probably 15% of what we actually run. I could do a whole hour just on the specialized programs we run. So yeah, I think the next program we'd like to talk about, maybe through one of these webinars, is our intentional mentorship program, which has given us a huge group of staff who grew up with AAFS as members. And maybe that's the next one, so that might be a teaser. Thank you so much. And if there are any questions, I guess type them in now. If not, I'll sign off and see everybody later. Check out all those videos.